So, you would be forgiven for thinking that this issue was going to be a little bit dull. But no. Although all we're getting is 3 new Reivers, which, you know, if that doesn't float your boat, you know, you might think it's going to be a bit boring. But those cheeky guys at Games Workshop have given us not only our normal issue with our Reivers, they've given us a pull-out basic rules that you can download this. I think it's called the Battle Primer, but that's good, and we'll have a closer look at that in a minute. But they also gave us a sample chapter for a book introducing us to the Black Library. So I had wondered if Warhammer was going to try and bleed a few of their other kind of products into the offering for Conquest. So we've got the Black Library, and when we get into the book, we'll notice something else. So let's get into the book first and take a look at what we've got. So, learn about Mortarion. Mortarion is a Death Guard Primarch. Reiver reinforcements, our dudes there. And the invasion of Cohort 2 begins. So our new map that we received a couple of issues ago, all of our tutorial missions and that kind of thing are going to stem directly from there. So this is great. So when we talk about bleeding other Games Workshop products into this, the first thing that we see is this, the Fangs Attack. And I'll explain to you a little bit about that in a minute. But first of all, before we do anything in this issue, the Fangs Attack. The Fangs of Wulfric infiltrate an enemy position. Hellblaster War Gear, read about the weaponry of these deadly warriors. Worlds of the Imperium, discover the Worlds of the Imperium. Mortarion, learn about the Primarch of the Death Guard. Making up your Reivers, painting your Reivers. The Cohort 2 playmat for tutorial number 22. Core rules card, which is this. And defend the drop site, rules mission 1. So we've got a lot to get through today. Now that they're starting to give us some Black Library stuff. So this is, what's this? 60 or so pages of the Lords of Silence, but it's introducing us to their kind of library of books, the Black Library. So that's really good. That's really interesting, and I like stuff like this because it gives you a bit of a taster to see if you're going to be interested in that stuff. So that's good. But important, the Fangs Attack. Wulfric Wormslayer flashed a series of hand signals at 2 of his brothers, Thunderhowl and Greymane. The 2 Reivers nodded and fired their grapnel launchers, disappearing quietly into the thick smog as they ascended to the upper floors of the building. So the Fangs of Wulfric, I was really surprised to see this in here. Now I've got a very, very small amount of Space Wolves miniatures, but I know all about the Fangs of Wulfric, and I'm thinking, if I haven't collected enough of the Space Wolves to get that information, like, why do I know about the Fangs of Wulfric? And it is because they are a kill team. So all of this stuff that I'm reading here, I've already read that kind of thing before, and it's in here. It's already in the kill team that I bought. So really interesting, and I'm wondering if they're putting information like this about particularly the Fangs of Wulfric to maybe try and coax people into getting a little bit of the kill team stuff. It'd certainly be a good idea to kind of cross over. I actually think that if you want to learn how to play 40k now, it might even be worth stepping into kill team first, because you get it on a much smaller scale. I know that some of the rules are slightly different, but you know, once you know what everything's called, you know, your charges, your psychic phases, and all that kind of stuff. Once you've got all that down in kill team, you can just bring it over to 40k. Anyway, so the Fangs Attack. So Gunner Greymane, Wulfric Wormslayer, and Leaf Thunderhowl. I know all about those guys. Leaf Thunderhowl, Wulfric Wormslayer, Gunner Greymane. The characters are direct from the kill team. So So that's really cool, really interesting. So that's great. So that is 40k Battles number 10. Now we go to Space Marines War Gear number 6, Hellbastard War Gear. It's going to teach us all about that. And it's got all of our reference numbers there, which is very cool. 40k Factions 1.2, Worlds of the Imperium. The Imperium is vast beyond measure and filled with millions, if not billions, of planets. While many of these worlds are not habitable, human settlers have made their homes on a wide range of worlds. Some are well connected to the Imperium and others are isolated by huge distances. So this is cool. I'll tell you what, the history and lore book, when it's finished, is going to be a huge and massive beast, but it's going to be really cool as well. So there you go, it gives us a description of some of the types of worlds. So you've got Hive worlds, Agri worlds, Chapter planets, and Forge worlds. Okay, Mortarion. Mortarion is the demon primarch of the Death Guard. He has pledged himself to Nurgle in exchange for the dark powers of demonhood. So that's very cool. So his title is Demon Primarch. His base is the Black Manse. Specialities are strategy, infantry combat, and biological warfare. His enemies are Gulliman, Reboot Gulliman, and the Emperor. And the Emperor of Mankind. So cool. Very, very awesome. So blah, 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 blah. More about him. More about what it's to be a Primarch. I'll just read that quickly. Before his fall, Mortarion was a great general in service of his father, the Emperor of Mankind. His forces were involved in the Great Crusade, helping to free hundreds of worlds. And then demonhood. Unfortunately, Mortarion's loyalty did not last. He is now a twisted creature who only wishes to bring death and disease. He aims to destroy everything the Emperor has ever created. So this is cool. How to build our Reivers, no problem there. How to paint Reivers. So it actually brings us right back to all those original paints. Abaddon Black, Retributor Armour, Lead Belcher, washing with Nuln Oil and Agrax Earthshade, bit of Bugman's Glow, Mephiston Red, and Raykar Flesh. So that's good. That's good. So it's going to bring us up to this point of the paint schemes that we've got. Now, on to the bit that I have been looking forward to. Corvon 2 is now the map that we're pressing forward with. And what this has given us, tutorial number 12, Corvon 2 playmat. The Ultramarines have landed on Corvon 2 and intend to stop the Death Guard invasion. Here we can explain how terrain on this map functions in your games. The printed terrain on this map can be moved through, seen through, and fired through. Okay, now, so what we've got is we've got all the different terrain that are on here. We're going to get this physical terrain eventually, but for now I believe it's just printed on the map. So that's cool. So it's giving us information about thermic plasma conduits, ruins, tank traps, ammunition crates, Promethean drums, and hatch. Now, the hatches have no effect on your games for now, but they may have an effect in later missions. Right, so this is cool. So we get a bigger map now, because obviously our army is growing. A mission briefing, Corvon 2 planetfall. As the Ultramarines deploy out of their dropship, shells rain down on the dusty surface of Corvon 2. The battle is already fierce. Death Guard forces are devastating what remains of Corvon 2's defences. So that's good. Now, so here we go. Now we're getting into the core rules. Your core rules reference card. Welcome to the full rules of Warhammer 40,000. From now on you will use this as your rules reference, and it replaces your previous tutorial rules. Don't worry, you are familiar with most of the rules already. Any differences or new sections are pointed out below. When you're done with this article, give the booklet a read through. Now I love this. This is really cool. So a good friend of mine, when he bought the big fat 40k 8th edition rulebook, I think he got this with it. But this is basically going to stop us from referencing our great big massive binder to find these rules. So I am loving this. I think this is a really great addition to what we've already got. And again, those of us that are up to date with the rules and have read through everything, this is going to be much easier to reference than what we've got so far. So that's brilliant. Really very good. So we've got the rules mission 1. The warriors of Ultramar have arrived on Cohort 2 and must now protect their landing zone while the rest of the forces reach the surface. Death Guard cannot allow the Space Marines to establish a foothold on Cohort 2 and have sent some of their best troops to stop the enemy in their tracks. So on either side of the map, and we're using the side of the map that's already got some battle damage on now, we've got a 6-inch deployment zone, Death Guard and Space Marines. The army of the Death Guard is going to be made up of 5 Plague Marines, 12 Poxwalkers, the Mephitic Blight Hauler and the Biologous Putrefier. And our Space Marines are going to be 5 Intercessors, 2 Hellblasters, 3 Aggressors and the Librarian. So that puts Psychers on both sides. The Biologous Putrefier is, I believe, a Psyker, and the Primaris Librarian definitely is. We know what deployment zones are. Space Marine player deploys first. Players then alternate deploying their units one at a time until all units have been deployed. The Death Guard player takes the first turn. So the victory conditions are: Death Guard gain 1 victory point for every unit that ends the game in the Space Marines deployment zone. So this starts 6 inches here. Space Marines gain 1 victory point for every unit they still have on the board at the end of the game. Either player can win by eliminating the enemy army. The game lasts for 5 battle rounds. So that's good. That's a nice chunky battle, and it's our biggest battle yet. So very, very good. Okay, and then we've got counter-attack. With the battle at the drop site over, one side has gained control of the industrial district. However, the day is not won yet. In this mission, the defeated force launches a furious counter-attack in an attempt to regain their lost ground. Excellent. So it's almost like a mini campaign. So you've got 2 different battles that, to wage with a similar theme. So the player who lost the previous battle has deployment zone A, which is these 2 sections here. Note that they can place models in both of the areas. The player that won the previous mission has deployment zone B. This is the city block with 2 Imperial Eagles as shown to the right. So this is excellent, because this is a much more involved type of scenario than we've had previously. So this is exactly what we wanted out of Cohort 2, you know. The new map, different styles of play. I love it. I think it's great. So our armies for this one are going to be 5 Plague Marines, 12 Poxwalkers, Foul Blight Spawn and Biologous Putrefier. And our Space Marines are 5 Intercessors, 2 Hellblasters, 5 Reivers and Lieutenant Calcius. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Deployment is what I've just been through there. Victory conditions: each enemy unit eliminated, you get 1 victory point. The first player to eliminate an enemy unit gets an extra 1. Each objective held at the game's end is worth 2 victory points. And these, if you probably can't see them, but there are a couple of objectives there. To hold an objective, you must have more models than the enemy within 3 inches of it at the end of the game. The game lasts for 4 battle rounds. And here we go, we've got a little quote from Morgoth, the Biologous Putrefier. Advance, we shall have revenge upon the interlopers. Morgoth. Morgoth. What do I know that from? I think that's from Lord of the Rings. I'm pretty sure that was one of the names for the main bad guy from the Silmarillion. Yeah, Morgoth. Yeah, Silmarillion. Okay, cool. Brilliant. So what have we got here? Yeah, it's an advert for Black Library stuff. Black Library brings you great fiction from the world of Warhammer 40k. So we've got a couple of books here: Crusade and Other Stories, Dark Imperium, and Horus Rising. Sample chapter included in this issue: The Lords of Silence. So very, very cool. This we've seen before. So our next issues, before we have a look at our sample chapter and before we make these buggers up. Next issue, Astro Granite, which is our textured base. We're going to get a medium base brush with that as well, which is cool. And then in issue 23, we're going to get some other stuff here. Battlefield accessories. So that's very cool as well. And so let's have a quick look at this sample chapter. An extract from The Lords of Silence by Chris Wright. The Cadian Gate is broken and the Imperium is riven in two. The might of the traitor legions, kept shackled for millennia behind the wall of iron and sorcery, has been unleashed upon a darkening galaxy. Among those seeking vengeance on the corpse emperor's faltering realm are the Death Guard, once proud crusaders of the Legionnaires Astartes, now debased creatures of terror and contagion. Mighty warbands carve bloody paths through the void, answering their Lord Primarch's call to war. And yet for all their dread might in arms, there is no escape from the vicious legacies of the past. Ones that will pursue them from the ruined demon worlds of the Eye of Terror and out into the smouldering wastes of the Imperium Nihilus. For this story and more, go to blacklibrary.com. Blah, 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 blah. So that's cool. But this is good. I'm going to read this. I'll have a good read of this tonight. Very, very cool. I love it. Right. So let's find our little guide to making up these fellas. Here we go. There we go. This is our Reiver squad made up. Now I do like the Reivers, they're cool models. But we've seen, I don't know if these are exactly the same cast as the ones we've had before. They may be. But we've certainly seen this kind of thing before in this series. But those are very cool. Oh, straighten that up a bit. So I'll go back and glue these properly a bit later. So that was a very good issue, I thought. Got some interesting information there, and I urge you all to read up on the Fangs of Wulfric. Very, very interesting stuff. So, good book. We got introduced to the Black Library. We got our core rules booklet, and we got our Reivers. So I think that's a cracking issue. Very, very cool. Now before I go, I've just got two quick things to say. I put a video out last week which was basically spoilers, what we're going to get in every issue of Conquest up until issue number 80, and it's had a fantastic response. I've had loads of new subscribers and I really, really, really appreciate it. And I hope you stick with me because, yeah, it's really, really appreciated. So thank you so much to all my subscribers. And I also want to remind everyone that there's a competition that's going to be running until Monday the 28th of January, which is to win a copy of issue number 19. So this is Lord Felthius and the Tainted Cohort. All you need to do is go watch that video, subscribe and leave a comment on that video. That's all you need to do, and as soon as it gets to 1,000 views, which it will do because we're nearly there already, I'll just pick a name out of the hat, and whoever wins, doesn't matter where they are, I will send them the copy. So if you're watching this and you live in America or Australia or wherever, you're still in with a chance of winning it. So that's the one I'm doing for now, and I'll be waiting for any kind of big issues to choose what my next competition will be. I'm pretty certain it's going to be for the Dreadnought. Now that's over 2 issues, which I believe is issue 24 and 25. So when I do a competition for that, I'll buy both issues, and whoever wins it, depending on how many views it gets, I'll do the same thing and I'll post it worldwide. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and once again, welcome to my new subscribers. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I shall catch you in the next couple of days where I'll be uploading my full review of issues number 1 to number 20. Catch you later.